Hi, I'm Boyd Made This. In today's feature of Design Build, we're going to talk about designing and building an end table. I've asked Shaun Boyd from Shaun Boyd Made This to help me in designing our end table. As sometimes happens, when you can't figure out which one you like best, you got to build both of them. Yep, that's a design. That's a tabletop design. So I designed this table, and that's the top of it, but I wasn't real sure about it. So I asked Shaun Boyd to help me design this table, and I'll build it. So let me tell you what Shaun said.
Crazy feeling when someone leaves a comment or emails me or something and says, you've inspired me to build something or to design something, and it's like, whoa, I wasn't even
trying to go there.
Yeah, that wasn't even in my head when I started to do this stuff. So that's pretty cool. I enjoy that part of it a lot. I've learned so much from people over the years that I want to give back a little bit of entertaining and teaching or whatever. So I didn't really realize at the time that people were watching it, wanting to know what I was doing so that they could potentially do it. But there are tons of people watching that are still wanting to learn the basics. So it made me realize, like, okay, I can inject these little tips that could seem so obvious to me, but to someone else, it's changes the game, Yeah. So,
hey, well, let's talk about design build.
Yeah, totally.
My inspiration was your table that you made that was the stitches.
Right.
And so I said a tabletop is going to be made of three circles just butt up against each other in kind of a triangle.
Yep.
And then in this format, I said, okay, then there'll be a circle underneath it.
Gotcha.
And the joinery will be through dowels. Instead of doing a circle underneath, it's doing a triangle.
Right. So I'm looking at the sketches you sent me earlier. I mean, I like it. I think it's cool. I think that's a cool concept of kind of, from the top, you almost don't know how they're.
So from the top, only thing you're going to see may be a couple edges, and that depends on where you have the circle or the support base come through, and then the joinery.
So from the top, you would see the dowels or whatever you use.
Yeah, and the concept was to do it in contrasting color.
Okay. Yeah.
So I wanted to accentuate that.
Mm-hmm. I like the triangle idea.
Triangle support.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like that more than the circle, just because I like the points of the triangle are at the center of the circles and things like that. Continue that more angular look into the base, from the triangle down into maybe squarish legs with maybe some angles or something. Whereas, like, if you went with all circles, then using like cylindrical legs would make a lot of sense. Another option for the triangle one would be to move that triangle stretcher system, move that all the way to the ground,
give it a little cleaner look.
Yeah, and then you'd have that triangle up at the top where the circles are, and then the triangle at the bottom, and then you have a nice open space between the tabletop and the ground, kind of.
It's something I think I'll probably have to model.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of times I'll see something in my head and I'll be like, oh, that could be good, and then I'll draw it out and it's like, no, that's not that good.
Well, each one of the circles, a diameter would be either 8 or 9 inches, and then using my Fibonacci ratio, that would make the height of the table somewhere around 25, 26 inches tall.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So planning this design, got a piece of oak, a piece of walnut. And what we're trying to do in this design is have the top be out of one dark or light color piece of wood and have the base and the legs maybe out of a different color. So these are the two I'm starting with. And so I'm actually going to cut out the top in both the oak and in the walnut. So this is my circle drawing circumference maker. I'll leave a link down below where you can get this. It's $19.95. It's a good deal on Amazon. Now we got the 3 circles cut out. Take them over and sand them around. They'll be ready for the next one.
So the next step is to cut the 2-inch base pieces that'll make up the triangle for both the support base and the stretcher system at the bottom. So I'm making this both out of the oak and out of the walnut. Take it over to my thickness planer, get it nice and smooth, and ready for dimensioning for the length and the size. Now I'm cutting the angle on the tail end of the pieces so they can all be folded together.
The 3 circles. And we have the triangle underneath here. So we have our isosceles triangle, which means each leg is equal distance. So these are cut at 30-degree angles for a total of 60, because each triangle is a total of 180 degrees, so 360s is 180.
So I found the easiest way to get all my circles to be the same is to sand them all at one time. So we just put them together and sand away.
I have my 3 circles I've cut out, sanded, and I have them clamped together. And I've marked the very center of one, so I want to drill them all in the same center. So I'm going to take a brad point bit that's smaller and get it started. And then come with my 3/8 inch bit, and I have a backer board here so I don't have any blowout.
So here I'm gluing my triangles together. So I'm just using the tape method to be able to glue the end pieces together and then fold it up together. Put the tape on it, let it dry, and away you go. Ready for the splines. So I took my old tenon jig and I modified it by putting a couple pieces in at my 60-degree angle to hold my triangle so I can cut my splines. So I have it set about 1 inch in, so I cut it on both sides and have all of them cut all the way around.
So I have my base and I cut a couple of strips for splines to put in here. And so first spline I cut was perfect. I decided I just planed a couple of strips down to get it a little bit nicer fit, and lo and behold, it's too loose. So really, I didn't even need to do that. So I cut another one and it's tight enough. I'll sand this rather than plane it. That way I'll go ahead and cut by 1.5 inch pieces and then sand each one so they'll all be a tight fit. We'll get it glued up. So this is my contraption or jig for drilling the 2 holes between the center holes that are going to be aligned in this fashion. They'll join in the square. So I have put that hole directly over the top of the joint between the 2, and that makes this one exactly 1 inch from the space of between the 2. So let's drill this.
So here's a dry fit of all the dowels in place.
So when I found out that Shaun Boyd is really a leg man, we had to have a further discussion about legs. Here's that discussion.
What about the legs?
Well, that's kind of where I need some design input.
I think you're right that the square legs, along with the triangles, kind of just, I don't know, it doesn't seem to work as well for me as the round dowel legs. I think with the square legs, the base just kind of starts to overpower the top, and you kind of lose some of the intricacies in the top. With the round legs, it just seems to kind of flow nicer with the circular top. What I would say with the round legs, I like the leg angle, kind of angling out from top to bottom, and I like how you have the triangle on the bottom within the legs, and then I would almost say do the same on the top. Overall, it's looking good, so I'm excited to see how it goes from here.
So if you're like me and you're trying to learn what designs you like best, you have to model it. So when I modeled it, I built one with square legs, built it with round legs, built it with triangle legs. I had to use them all. And it wasn't until I could actually see them with the tops and the base that I could determine which one I actually liked the best. So this piece of 4x4 oak is what I'm going to use to make my oak spindles out of. So they're going to be about a 1-inch diameter on the round. So I have a little walnut board here I'm going to make my triangle legs out of. Triangle cut here. So what I do is you take a square stock and you make a 30-degree cut on it. Then you take this cut off here. So this V here, there was what I cut first, and I tape that back onto there. So I can run this side up against the fence. You can cut it from here to that angle. After I glued the legs in, I drilled these holes from the frame and top, which are already drilled to here. I drilled them into the legs. So now what we're going to do, and they only go in a little bit. So that's all we drilled.
This is the base with the holes drilled for the attachment of the top. And here's what the base looks like with a glue up to the legs.
This leg is at a 5-degree angle, done on a spindle sander, so it's flush up against that. This hole I drilled from the underside to come out here for a dowel connection to the leg. That's where it went in. That's going to be the dowel connection into the leg.
A little trimming of the dowels with the flush cut saw, and we're ready to finish.
You'd like this design build feature. We want you to be sure and vote for which one of these tables you like best. Give us a thumbs up as well. Heck, give us a second one from Shaun as well. And be sure to come back and see us real soon.
I'm enjoying it so far.